Hello, and welcome to this episode of True North. My name is Padraig, and today we're in conversation with Carrie McDonnell. Carrie is a mindset consultant and works under the Proctor Gallagher Institute, originally founded by Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher. She leads various clients and groups in her sessions through the Thinking into Results program, which has seen major results in human behaviour and performance over the years. In this conversation, myself and Carrie go into the power of the mind and the science behind it, the art of achieving goals, and how you can live the life you truly desire. So if you're interested in the law of attraction, manifestation, or the secret, then this will be a conversation that you definitely will not want to miss. So let's get into it. Carrie, welcome.
Padraig.
Thanks for coming on. Just to start off with, I'm actually really looking forward to this. And I feel like it's just got really serious now, but I'm really looking forward to this. I really have so much interest, as I said to you before, in, mindset and coaching and mentoring and things like that, and human performance as well. But instead of me going off on a tangent here, and I'll let you explain it, for those people that don't know you and don't know what you do, give us a little bit of a background in terms of, in your own words, what it is that you do.
Okay, I am a mindset consultant. I trained under the famous Bob Proctor. Bob was my mentor, and I'm so grateful I got mentored by him before he passed away. I just didn't get to meet him in real life because of COVID, and there was no travel involved. But yes, so I teach Bob's program, which is a mindset program, and take people through the whole ins and outs of it. And it's just a step-by-step plan, really, because, we hear all the time, it's an inside job. It's, love yourself. It's an inside job. And that it's true, but, there's no manual to show us how to do this. And of course, there's not a one fit, for all, but the program that I take people through is a step-by-step process to give you the foundational information on how you can really start doing that and apply that to your life. Most people are winging it, and most people, they just don't know what to do. They have no guidance really, and they're just probably feeling even more overwhelmed, and then they feel frustrated, and then they give up. So that's why I love the program, because we just go through it from start to finish, and you get that information on how to actually fill up that big hole inside you that most people have. And we're just trying to fill it up with things on the outside.
Yeah. And obviously, being a mindset consultant, there's a lot of one-to-one work. There's a lot of obviously group work, because I know you do different types of events as well. Why do you think it's important for people to have that person behind them, to have a coach, to have a mentor?
For accountability. It's just plain and simple accountability, because human behaviour is we just don't show up for ourselves. Most people don't show up for themselves. And when we know there's someone, say for example, you're going for a walk and you were going by yourself, you'd probably put it off. But if you know your friend is waiting for you at the top of the hill, you are going to go. So we tend to show up more for others than we do ourselves. And I think that's the importance of having a coach, is for someone that you're going to show up for, because you have to show up, Padraig. If you're going to do this work and you're going to really make that change and break through, into a transformation, you need someone there that has your back. We can read all these books all day long, but the author of that book doesn't even know you live. They don't even know you exist. So it's having someone on the ground with you that knows you, knows your background, and cares about you and your family, and wants to see you change. So also, when we're so involved in our own lives, we're very emotional. And when we're emotional, it almost clouds our judgment, and it clouds our thinking. So when you have a coach, they can see from outside the circle, and they can sort of like spot you and say, right, okay, we need to really pull in on this, or maybe we can go this direction. So yeah, it's accountability.
Yeah. I think you just touched upon a really good point there. A couple of really good points that I actually was thinking, going, oh my God, like there's too many things that I need to remember here to ask you. One of those things is obviously that sense of clarity. I know in my business, I've been maybe stuck in situations, even both me and my partner have been stuck in a situation where you're maybe like, I don't know where this is going. Like, where's the vision going now? And it's almost like when you become so engrossed within your bubble that you can't see the bigger picture at times. And you made a really fair point there, that somebody looking from the outside has a completely different perspective than you do, and they might have more insight to be able to offer you a bit of guidance. They're not going to make you take the path. You have to be the one to take that path, but they're there to, like you said, to spot you, to give you that guidance and give you that support. I want to, before we go further into the mindset and the consultancy that you do, I want to sort of know why you've maybe got into this. And I always love to know more about somebody's formative years and what they've been through to bring them to this point in their life. So what do we need to know about Carrie to understand the lady that sits in front of us now?
I love that question because I think it's important that we see the human behind the image or the status. I'm not saying I have status, but just anyone, it's good to see that there's a human behind that and there's a story, and everybody has a story to tell. And my story, I just remember back to my childhood, I always loved teaching. I had my Barbies lined up on the bed and I would teach them and, do the pretend school. And then I remember also thinking about manifestation. I didn't know the word manifestation, but I was a child in primary school, because I remember I was brought up in a very, Catholic background, and, we had to go to Mass and we had our faith in God. And I didn't like going to Mass. I was made to go to Mass, and, I didn't like going because I didn't have the relationship that I would have had with God was a scary one. I'm afraid of you. And I just couldn't warm to that type of relationship with a higher power. So, because then I was exposed then to the Bible, there were certain passages in the Bible, and that's also through school as well. Certain passages in the Bible, one part stood out to me, and it was about, when we really want something, that it can be ours. So I remember thinking about that, and I remember going to bed thinking, okay, I want a big red car, a big red Ferrari or something outside my window. And I looked out and there was no Ferrari. So I was even questioning this process as a child. Yeah. So going up through my teens and early 20s, I've always been absolutely fascinated by the power of the mind. And I was buying books about your mind, and it's even at such a young age. And I think then through my experience has been in education, but within schools, I've been working in schools for 15 years. And as we were just talking about there, I just finished my degree in primary education, and all those years have been so valuable to me in helping me, become a better teacher, that I know how to teach, even though I was a classroom assistant, but I know how to teach. And I am passionate about education, but not mainstream education. That's not my passion, and it took me all that time and a degree to realise I don't want to work in a school system. And there's amazing teachers. It's not about the teachers, it's the system. They're in a system. And one of my clients who's just finished the programme recently, she is a teacher, and we were talking about, being trapped in that system. You aren't free to, okay, you can adopt your techniques to whatever you teach, but you are not free to teach what you want. And for me, Padraig, everything's about freedom. I want the freedom to be able to do what I'm passionate about. So how it led to me then becoming a consultant was life events, really, really tough life events that, involved the breakdown of a marriage. I had 2 young children. I had to go back and live with my parents. And the worst day of my life was also the best day, because it was the start of a new life for me. But that was a process, didn't happen overnight, and it's been years of really studying myself. And it was because of that life event that happened to me, that was the catalyst for me to really go within. And I first found out then about Joe Dispenza's work. I heard about Joe before I even knew Bob Proctor existed. So I was on a podcast recently with Pete Lunton, and he says, God, you started out with Joe Dispenza's work. And I thought, yeah, that's the way I like to do it, because it is so deep. But I remember I was in work, and when something just resonates, you're meant to be in that place at the right time. And I remember I was in my friend's room in work, and she had said about her sister was looking at this guy and studying his work, and he talks about the science behind meditation. And right away, I felt it energetically, a connection. And it was Joe Dispenza. And I thought, who is he? I need to know who he is. I need to know everything. And I didn't even know anything about him. But once I seen his work, I thought, oh my God, this is total soul food to me. This is what I've been looking for. And then I went to his workshop in Edinburgh. A few friends and I flew over. And it really rocked my world. Absolutely rocked my world. Now, this is where a lot of people don't really talk about when they're transforming, because when I came home from the weekend, and I always say this, Padraig, when I'm doing a workshop or a talk, this is not going to change your life. You may be inspired. It's what you do after you leave here, because you won't change your life until you change your habits. So one workshop's not a habit. It's just you enjoying yourself. So, and that's why I do coaching, because we need to change your habits if you really want to change your life. So how this workshop changed my life is because I continued doing the work when I come home. And the work really just means I kept studying and reading the books, getting the information, watching his videos, and then doing the meditations and the breath every single day. So I would activate my pineal gland. Some people may have never heard that, but if they want to know, I can certainly direct them to the video. I activated my pineal gland every day. And we could talk about that after if you wanted to know about the benefits of that. So it was, wow, what a trip. So I remember my partner, Kieran, he had rang me when I came back, and he says, well, how was the weekend? And I cried my eyes out because I questioned. I didn't know who I was anymore. And I really questioned absolutely everything about my life and my beliefs and who am I and why am I walking around with these beliefs? Where do they come from? They don't even belong to me, but they're controlling my life. So I felt like I was an open wound, and I was totally exposed to this world, and I felt so allergic to people and their bullshit. And then so the people don't talk about this part of transformation. They don't talk about the ugly bit, even though it's not ugly. It's actually really beautiful.
And essential, I think, at times.
Absolutely.
It's part of the process.
It's the process, yes. And this is why I like to tell people that this was part of it. And I'm so grateful for it. I went into a bit of a bubble, and I didn't, I was meant to go away with some friends the following week, and I didn't go. I says, I don't care, I'm losing it in the money, I'm not going. I felt that I was allergic to people. Physically, I just couldn't be around certain people, that I couldn't tolerate their nonsense anymore. I'm not judging, but I just thought, I have to do this for myself. Yeah. It's about boundaries now for me. And I went into this real cocoon. It was really like the caterpillar going into the cocoon, and then, and then the butterfly comes out. That is, that was the part of the process for me. And I've been doing this for years now. So I've been doing the work on myself, and that was the thing that healed me, because I was broken before I found Joe's work. I was in the gutter. I mean, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, everything totally in the gutter, really sabotaging myself, disrespecting myself, really not being very nice to myself at all.
So, and you talked about feeling like this wound had opened up. What was coming up for you in that time? What were the stories that you found you were telling yourself about life? What were the things that you found were part of your belief system, but they weren't your beliefs?
I would say probably the main one was unworthiness, feeling unworthy, because my actions were showing that. For me, after a breakup from marriage, it's very hard. So, when there's any sort of trauma in anyone's life, most of the time, most people will do something to block that out, because the pain feels too overwhelming. We don't want to feel it. So some people may go and, consume more alcohol or take drugs or overeat or whatever. Mine was probably a mixture of not eating so much, it's chocolate. I would just be so can't cope without chocolate. But I think mine was diving into dating men, diving into trying to get someone to love me. I swear to God, that is what it was for me. A man may as well have been a bottle of alcohol or a bottle of drink, because I needed a distraction and I needed someone. If you just love me, and I'm very open about, our relationship, my relationship with Kieran. And, he's given me permission to say this, because our relationship was very toxic when we only met each other. I wasn't in a good place, and neither was he. So of course the relationship wasn't good. And I just always try to get Kieran to love me. I just always try to, if you love me, the world will be okay. If you do what I tell you, everything will be okay. And try to control him, try to make him into someone who he wasn't. And the more I done that, the worse it got, until I literally gave up. I mean surrendered. And then that is how everything changed.
Yeah, I think you made a good point there. Just at the end of that, there's a difference between actually giving up and giving in and just letting, just separating from a situation, cutting the cords, and then there's surrendering and letting go.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about that as well now that you've brought that up, because so many of us, when we talk about manifestation, when we talk about the law of attraction, and we're trying to bring something into our lives, so many of us fixate ourselves upon it or obsess over it to the point where we're almost forcing it. Why is it so important to surrender, to let go?
Oh, I love this. Because this is so important. And again, there's not a lot of people talking about this, because we have to understand that I explain it this way. We are in a relationship with the universe, if that's what you want to say, or God, or divine intelligence. I don't care what you say, but you are in a relationship with it, and you always have been since you were conceived. But to enter into a conscious relationship is where you then have to know the role you play and the role that the universe will play. And it's like being in a dance, and you're going to be in harmony with each other, and you need to know when you need to lead, and then you need to know when you need to step back, and then the universe will lead you. And that is the balance between intention and surrender. And this is something we have to experiment with. I love science, and it's like being the scientist of your own life. Your life is the experiment. So you play around with it, and you find out how it works and getting the recipe right. And it is a balance. So say, for example, intention, that is your goal. This is what I want for my life. Say that's a new relationship, okay? That's your intention. And then you have your role. Your part to play is getting up every day and doing whatever you do in your normal day, whether you're going to do meditation, which I would recommend. It's the number one thing anyone to do every day of their life. But Joe Dispenza's meditations are mental rehearsal. They're a different type of meditation. Some people like them, some people don't. I played his meditation at my workshop recently, and some girl was like, his voice went through my head, and I thought, okay. But thankfully I explained beforehand why I'm playing this. And, so you're part of the deal. Your role in this relationship is for you to be very clear on what it is you want. And then you get up every day and you step into the shoes of being that person. And the relationship, if you want to go on Tinder and you want to go on all these dating apps and try to force it, you're getting in the way of it happening in the best way, because the universe knows how to do it better than you know how to do it. So you have to let the universe or divine intelligence bring it to you, because you're going to attract it. That's why we call it the law of attraction. You attract that person or thing into your life through your emotions and your vibration. Vibration is just a fancy word for feeling, how you feel on a day-to-day basis. So if you're going to try to force it and control it, it's just a longer, harder road to go down. Where if you work in partnership with the universe, just do your part and let the universe do its part. And your part is every day you think, act and feel like the person who's already in the relationship. And when you get really good at it, the relationship will come out of the blue.
I love that phrase or just that sort of conscious action of waking up and, as you said, stepping into the shoes of the person that you want to be. But stepping into the shoes of the person that you want to be is just, it's phenomenal. When you said that there, I was like, oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. The work that you do, you talked about Bob, you talked about Joe Dispenza as well. Talk to me about that work with Proctor Gallagher and the Institute, and how you get into that and what your experience was of that.
Okay. Well, obviously, I was into Joe's work first, which I was doing for years. And what I realised was I was winging it. And I was trying to piece things together and figure out what I do with it. There's so much information. I don't know what to do with it all. I did do the meditations every day, but when there wasn't a real like framework to follow, he gives you a formula, but he doesn't give you an actual framework to follow. So I think it was lockdown, and I was thinking, I would love to teach. I just know I want to teach this work. I want to tell everyone about it, and I want to bring it to as many people's lives as possible who are willing to do it. And I think a while had passed by, and it was actually 1.5 years had passed by. I always knew I wanted to teach this. And me and my partner were doing a master class, the 5-day master classes that they would have done. And at the end it said, if you want to be a consultant, give us a call. And I was like, I'm going to send them an email. So of course the girl called me back, and she was telling me all about it. I was so fired up, and then she told me the price, and I nearly had a heart attack because I was thinking, are you crazy? Like, where would I get that money? It was like 33 grand. I thought, I work part-time, I'm a single mummy, I'm in uni, I have a mortgage, there's no way, it's just never going to happen. And then a few weeks had passed, maybe about 6 weeks or something, and they were doing another one. And again, me and Kieran were doing it, and he says, it came up about being a consultant, and he says, do you really want to do this? And he's into the work as well. So Kieran was into Bob Proctor's work before I was. And he says, do you really want to do this? I says, yeah. And he says, okay, well, I'll sell everything I own, and I'm going to get you the money. And I thought, now this is the same guy who I had a toxic relationship with, but the relationship changed because I changed and he changed on our own path. Yeah. We didn't work on our relationship, we worked on ourselves. That's not the case for everyone. Some people are better off apart, but I thought, oh my God, like, for him to invest that money in me. So that's how I got there. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here today if that wasn't the case. And then I went through the training, and we had a very, very rigorous training process that we had to really prove that we knew this material inside out in order to qualify. And, a whole lot of tick lists to go through before you get your certificate. And I qualified to be a consultant.
Somebody else believing in you, I think at times can be very important. Yeah. I think it also goes back to the accountability thing that we talked about earlier as well. I think that when it comes to coaching is so important.
Yeah. I was going to say that.
Because that person's behind you, always pushing you to be better and do better.
Yeah.
And it's something I say, all the time to the people that I work with, if you can try and be 1% better every single day, and I've probably said this on this podcast before as well, then you can be 365% better at the end of the year,
Yeah, it's amazing.
And you mightn't do 1% better every single day, but if you can try and do 1% better every day, think 1% better every day,
Yeah.
There is no perfection in this.
Oh, no, what does that even mean?
At the core level, like our true self, our authentic self is perfect in itself, but there is no point in striving for perfection in this world, because there is no such thing.
No.
But deep down, you're perfect and beautiful and caring and loving just the way you are at any one given time.
Can I just mention there about going from Joe to Bob? That's what I love then about the qualifying as a consultant, because Bob gives an actual program to follow, where that's not the case with Joe Dispenza. He gives you the information, but you sort of have to piece it together yourself, where that's what I love about TIR, because it's a step-by-step program. You don't have to think about anything. You don't have to wing anything. Yeah. You just follow it from start to finish, which I think not everybody needs a program, but I think it's very valuable for a lot of people who just need that guidance.
And TIR, thinking into results, for those that don't know, I mean, obviously, you're not going to spill all the beans on all of the details, but what is TIR? That is what you teach, obviously, and that comes from PGI, Proctor Gallagher Institute, for those that don't know. But what is TIR? What is thinking into results?
It is a 12 module program, so I call it 12 doors. You're going through 12 doors over the period of 6 months with me. It's a 6-month coaching program. And you cannot access thinking into results without a consultant. So you can't just go on Proctor Gallagher and get it. You have to be coached through it. And that's because it is designed to change your life. And you have to, because it changes your paradigm. A paradigm, we can change a paradigm. And for people who don't know what a paradigm is, it's a program in your subconscious mind, and it's a multitude of habits and beliefs, and that is controlling your whole life, whether you like it or not, or whether you know about it or not. So to really have a permanent change in your life, you need to change your paradigm. Part of it, not all of it, the parts you want to change. So how you change a paradigm in a healthy way is through repetition. And the program, this is the thing, most programs, you're just gathering knowledge. Now that's all it gathered in your conscious part of your mind, but that really only contributes to your life or your results by 5%. It's the subconscious mind.
Yeah, I mean, knowledge for me, and I'm sure you've probably heard this before, knowledge is potential power. You know, like,
it's what you do with it.
You can read the books, you can watch the TV shows, you could, whatever it may be, you can do the sort of the week-long programs, X, Y, and Z. But the knowledge you gain is potential power. It's the action you take to put it into practice.
It's the action that Joe Dispenza's meditations are powerful, but it wouldn't have changed my life if I didn't do it every day. Okay, so that's why this program is different, because most programs are just helping people to know more, but not do more. And this program helps you to know more and do more. And it's based on repetition. That's why the success rate is just through the roof, and hundreds of thousands of people are using it across the world. So that's why I'm so passionate about it, because you actually get results with it. Yeah. We're not bullshitting here.
Yeah. I want to also talk about whys as well. Obviously we know sort of a little bit about your why and stuff like that, and why you get into the work that you get into. But when it comes to people doing your program, doing TIR, even doing the 6-week program, doing, any of your workshops or events, or even just doing the work, trying to do the work at home on their own, if and when they can, why is the why so important?
Because everyone, no matter where they come from, whatever color they are or gender, I don't care, everyone is looking for a deeper meaning. Everyone's life. Everyone has a purpose. No one can tell you your purpose. Only you know that, and you can tap into your heart and ask your heart intelligence that. But everyone, no matter where they come from, they're always looking something deeper. They're looking meaning in their lives. And I don't know if you're familiar with Viktor Frankl.
I'm not too sure.
Viktor Frankl wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning. And he was a Holocaust survivor. Okay. And every time I read one of his quotes, I want to cry, because it's really emotional. But he survived the Holocaust. He witnessed such horrific, tragic events. His family were all killed, and he starved to death, and really was exposed to such extreme torture. And he wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning, because he realised that no matter what was going on, no matter in this physical world what anyone can take away from you, no one can take your thoughts, no one can take your mind, unless you let them. And he chose not to. He says, I can choose my attitude in any given situation and circumstance. And he talks about we need 3 things to live a meaningful life, because we are all seeking meaning. And that's what I do this naturally, thankfully. And I don't know, I think it's to do with my upbringing and my parents. But in all negative situations that I've been in, I can always find a positive. It's just ingrained in me. But, it's such an important type of attitude to have. So he talks about there's 3 things we all need to have meaning in our lives. Number 1 is we need to be working on some sort of meaningful project, whether it's in nature, art, or what I would say is the biggest project that you could ever work on is yourself. The second thing we need to live a meaningful life is to be part of a community. because we thrive better. We have more chances of survival when we are cooperating with each other in community rather than competing against each other. And the third thing, and this is a hard one, but a really important one, is that you can see the meaning behind your suffering. And a lot of people wouldn't even want to go there, because maybe some people have experienced real trauma and real scarring experiences from the past, and they wouldn't ever be able to see that there was a meaning behind that. Yeah. Which I'm not telling anybody right or wrong, but if you can look back on your past experiences and try to pick out, what has that done for me? You know, even the worst thing that's ever happened to you, you know, is there a learning? Is there something you can learn from that so that it can make you stronger? Yeah, that happened to me, but it's not going to happen to my children, or it's not going to, you know. So if we have those three things, that will give us meaning in our lives. And he worked with people who were suicidal and depressed, and those three things were the antidote to depression.
Yeah, I think a lot of that, those three things really sort of invoke your attitude to life, your perception of things around you, and the things that have happened to you. And I really think that last one can be challenging. I think I spoke to Peter Kelly briefly on something similar, on a similar level, the other week when he was on the podcast, about understanding the things, the hardships that you've came through, you know, the real traumas. And some people might find it hard to see why that's part of their journey. Yeah. You know, what is the meaning behind that? You know, what is the lesson that I'm meant to learn here? You know, if it's the loss of a child, you know, like, why was I meant to experience that? If it's, you know, abuse, why was I meant to experience that? Yeah. But I think that at some point, if you are really working on yourself, that you will find at least a sense of peace or acceptance of knowing that there is a reason. You might not necessarily know the reason yet. Yeah. But it's knowing that there is a reason behind it. Yeah. Just a quick word from our sponsors on this podcast. This week's sponsor is Simply Zen. Simply Zen is one of the most amazing, magical and spiritual holistic and wellbeing brands in Northern Ireland today and across the UK. Simply Zen hosts a range of different events, a range of different training academies, and they also have fantastic products on their website and in store that range from crystals, such as the one I'm wearing on my neck at the moment, to incense, jewelry, novelty gifts, ritual items, and so much more. Everything for your magical needs. Simply Zen is the home of holistic well-being, and if you want to visit them, they're based in Belfast City Centre and in Lisburn as well. You can also visit their online store, simplyzen.co.uk, and if you want to check out any of the events they have on, they always put out their events at the start of every single month, whether that is training courses, ceremonies, retreats, or just a simple meditation and sound bath experience. Simply Zen is there for all of your spiritual, mindful, emotional and well-being needs. They also have a range of different therapies such as Reiki energy healing, Indian head massage, Rahani celestial healing, Hopi ear candling, facials and so much more. So if you're into your spirituality, if you're into your mindfulness, if you're into your well-being, check out simplyzen.co.uk. And if you're wanting to shop online for an amazing gift or something just to treat yourself, don't forget to use the code TRUENORTH for 10% off. That's TRUNORTH, True North, in your voucher code at the checkout for 10% off. So, why wait around? Make your life magical today with Simply Zen. Let me touch upon the science of it, yeah, because there will be people in the background probably, you know, going, this is all woo-woo, you know, like, and by the way, yes, there is a lot of woo-woo stuff, and if you're interested, and you know, you might be interested yourself, there is a great book by a gentleman called Dr. David, I forget his surname, but it's called Why Woo Woo Works.
Hamilton.
Dr. David Hamilton.
I seen him in real life.
Did you? Oh my God.
He is so funny. Me and Kieran went to the Human for Consciousness conference in London.
Oh my God.
In October.
Yes.
Yes.
I was planning, but I didn't get going.
So we went. So he was one of the speakers because I just absolutely love Greg Braden. I have all his books, and I was totally starstruck. I couldn't believe how small he is in real life. He's really small. I was like, oh, Greg Braden. and I met Lynn McTaggart, got my book signed by her.
Okay.
So Dr. David Hamilton is so funny, I swear, and he was telling jokes and he explained things in such an easy way to understand and got us to do visualization. So yeah, he's brilliant.
Yeah, I love the book, and it's anytime I get a chance to read it, I sort of just take it chapter by chapter. Obviously, as somebody that does Reiki, there's a whole chapter on Reiki in it. There's a whole chapter on crystals. Then there's a whole chapter on, nature, visualization, and he talks about the placebo effect and stuff. But it's the power of the mind, and how powerful it actually can be compared to these physical, actual drugs that people are getting, know. So why we works, if anybody's interested. So when we look at the science of it and we break down, conscious, subconscious, and the actions we take and then the results, what is all of the science behind that?
Well, obviously Joe Dispenza talks about the quantum world and the quantum, physics, which is still only relatively new.
Yeah.
Science is only new. I think science is only 300 years old or something. What I love about it, science is only catching up on what our ancestors knew thousands and thousands of years ago. About the power of your heart, and the Egyptians knew about the pineal gland. Because if you see the Egyptian eye, that's what the pineal gland looks like. If you sliced your brain open,
of course,
in half. So this fascinates me that they knew this. It's almost like we've been sort of lost in history, and I think we're only finding ourselves again. So I love the science only because I just love to know the nitty gritty. I can't really, it's just me personally, I can't really accept a new idea until I know way more about it. And then I buy into it then, and it becomes more meaningful to me. And then I can put more intention and add tension behind it. That's why I need to know.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the same case for a lot of people. Like a lot of us as human beings, we sort of need tangible proof of something to be able to believe it.
Well, every time we have a thought, this is the thinking, feeling loop. You have a thought, and then automatically your brain physically makes a chemical and shoots the chemical into your body, and it gives you what we call a feeling. So, and then the more we feel that feeling, the more we think of the thought, and it just, the more we think it, the more we feel it, and we just go round and round in these loops of thinking and feeling. And a lot of people do that most of their life and realize, God, I've been feeling like this for a really long time, and it's because they're trapped in that loop that they never thought they probably could ever get out of. So let's take someone who has an anxious thought. I can't face this situation. Then all of a sudden, what happens? You feel anxiety. You can actually feel it in your gut. So that's the same. So why do we do anything? So we were talking about this earlier on about, I don't need to wait until I get the job or the relationship to feel the love. Why do we do anything? Why do we want anything? Why do we want the fancy car and the money? And it's because we want the feeling of it, so I want a fancy car because I want to feel fancy. I want the relationship because I want to feel love and seen and worthy. I want the skinny body because I want to feel confident and, so we don't have to wait to get the things, the physical things. We can feel that at any moment of our lives, and that actually brings the thing to us quicker. Because this is where you're talking about entering into that conscious relationship with the universe and working in partnership with it. Feel it. The more you feel it, the more the universe will bring it physically to you in this 3D reality.
Yeah, you mentioned obviously, and it's probably a really good example because this is the way I've sort of imagined it in my head. For example, you want to be skinny and have a skinny body or whatever it may be. And we're using this as an example.
Just an example. Don't crack up.
But you want to be skinny because it'll give you confidence.
Yeah.
If that's the case, remember that the thought creates the chemical reaction within your body and gives you the feeling of. So think about yourself already being in that space.
Yeah.
Already in those shoes, as we said earlier on.
Yeah.
And you'll begin to feel it. Now, you might not necessarily feel it like the way you think you're going to feel it.
Yeah.
And even by the time you do eventually get to that point in your life where you're at that skinny level or whatever it may be, you're at that body confidence level, it might not necessarily be this big, awakening epiphany moment. It's not going to be all like fireworks everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I feel great,
Yeah, I know.
But it goes back to the science of it. You know, your thought, you think a thought, it creates a feeling through the chemical reaction in your body, which then reinforces the thought, and it goes around in a cycle loop. So think that you are that person.
Yeah.
Feel that you're that person, then the more you think about it, and then that reinforces the thought, I am that person already. You know, and you, like you said, that already puts you in that vibration, so it'll attract it to you as well at the same time. So
Yeah.
it'll come to you faster.
And that, but it's also the feeling that influences your actions and your behaviors. So, you know, I talked about this in my workshop, that if people, so let's say, for example, someone wants to release weight. I never say lose weight. We're set up to find what we lose, you know, and we don't like losing. So if you want to say anything about your weight, we say release, okay? So if someone wants to release weight off their body, we are so programmed and conditioned to thinking they need to skip straight to the behavior, changing their behavior. So I will go on a diet, I will go to the gym, I will starve myself, do a water fast, whatever. And most times, like 99.99%, you will put the weight back on, and probably more. You don't ever get permanent results, because you have bypassed the thinking feeling loop. The behavior's the third step.
Yeah.
What about the other two, the thoughts and the feelings?
Yeah.
Because you have to reprogram, because you may be consciously thinking, yeah, I want a new body, I want to get 2 stone off me, but you're programmed to be a size 18 or 20 or whatever weight you are, or it doesn't even matter. You're programmed. So your conscious mind, remember, that's only 5%. That's where your wishes are, your dreams and your desires. So you have a wish to be a certain size, but you're fighting against a very powerful machine, which is your subconscious mind. And that machine is saying, yeah, okay, you think you're going to be a size 12, but you're a size 18. No, get the weight back on. And then you sabotage yourself through your behaviors. So this is what I want people to know, because a lot of people feel so much frustration thinking, but I'm going to the gym and I don't know why I can't shift the weight, or I can't reach this certain goal of mine, because you have bypassed the 2 most important steps, which is thinking and feeling. So, you know, I know someone who had a gastric band, went to, no, it wasn't even Turkey, it was in England, lost a lot of weight, and months later, still, mind could not catch up with the body. The mind still thought she was bigger and heavier, and just couldn't cope with the challenge of that, because her mind wasn't reprogrammed to be a thinner version of herself. And that's something I feel very passionate about speaking out against. Just not even out against, it's just, I would love these women to have this awareness that this is not going to change. This is not going to, I don't know if it's going to change your life for the better. If you're doing something so drastic like getting a bypass, a gastric band, you know, it's different if it was a matter of life and death maybe, but you know, if you're just doing it because you want to get some weight off you or to be a certain size, I don't think a lot of women are comprehending the whole mental process behind this and that struggle. And a lot of people don't talk about what's going on behind the scenes. I've seen what goes on behind the scenes, because I know people very close to me who have had them. So I know what's going on behind the scenes, and it's not nice. You know, so it's to... I'm actually thinking, Padraig, and this, you're getting exclusive here. I'm actually thinking of doing thinking into results based on body image.
Yeah, I think that's probably a really important thing, you know, and I've spoke to so many people on this podcast about, not necessarily about self-image, because we've already said, you know, the self is perfect as it is at the very core, you know, that is our soul, that is our spirit, that's our energy, you know, but it's the way we perceive our physicality, you know, and I don't think it's self-image as such that we need to work on. It's sort of self-development. It's developing how we perceive everything else from the self, if that makes sense. Or as the self. And I think body image is such a big thing, especially today.
Oh, it's just so many people are just and I would say social media is definitely playing its part in this, because we're constantly seeing people, you know, in their bikinis or half naked, and then we're comparing ourselves and thinking, you know, that we have to, why do I not look like that? Or, you know, and we have to remember we're dealing with filters here. We're dealing with touch-up and
filters,
filters.
airbrushing, now we've got AI in the mix. Like, I don't know, like, it's insane.
I know. So I feel very drawn to do this. So I probably putting this out in another lot of weeks that I'm going to specifically focus on that one, topic.
Yeah.
And then of course after TIR you can use it again for another goal, whether it's money or relationship. That's the beauty of it. You can use it for anything. It's the same framework for anything you want to manifest in your life or bring into your life. So if we skip straight to behavior, we don't really get permanent results.
Yeah.
That's why people yo-yo back and forward.
Yeah. And you did reference the 3-step process, which I love. I absolutely love. And if anybody doesn't know, and I'm sure you're more than familiar with Bob's Stickman.
Oh yeah.
Love it.
It's at the core of everything I teach.
Yeah.
I always go back to the stick person.
Explain to us the difference between, obviously we can't show, I might actually try and put in a wee photo if I can of Bob's Stickman diagram, but explain to us the process of thinking with the conscious, feeling with the subconscious, and then action.
Okay, so if you put this graphic in, then people will know what I'm talking about.
Indeed.
Then, so if you look at the top part of the circle, so the big circle will represent your mind, and if we split that in two, the top part is your conscious mind, and the bottom part is your subconscious mind, and then the little circle at the bottom is your body. So we have constant, unadulterated, pure spirit flowing into our consciousness all the time. It's energy, and energy is just pure. And when it's going into our conscious mind, that's what we call our thinking mind. And it's based on what we choose to do with our thoughts, whether we turn that energy into a negative or positive. We get to choose. And if you're thinking negatively, you're turning the energy into something negative. And the same goes for positive. When we have a new idea, and say, for example, I want to start a business, that's coming from the energy all around you as a new idea, a possibility. And it goes into your conscious mind simply by you thinking about it. But if you keep that, if you're just thinking about it, remember the conscious mind is only contributing to your life by 5%. So that doesn't mean just because you thought about something that it's going to actually happen for you. That just stays there as a little dream or a wish or a desire. That's also where all of your knowledge is stored. So remember we were saying, just because you read a book or you watch a YouTube video, all of your knowledge is gathered in your conscious mind too, and it doesn't change your life. So knowledge isn't power. Knowledge is only power if you use it.
Yeah, potential power.
Yeah. So the subconscious mind is the machine. It's a million times more powerful than the conscious mind. And that's the machine that I shouldn't even call it a machine, but it's like a machine because it's operating your whole life, and it's all based on habits and beliefs. It's really the automatic part of you. And you were programmed from, you were in your mother's womb, you were programmed genetically, and then you were programmed environmentally up until around the age of 7. And your program really is just your blueprint of who you are today, and the results that you get in your life is because you're programmed to get those results. That's why there's people who are programmed to live in the Malone Road, and some people are programmed to live in Davis Flats. And there's no judgment here, which is just stating the case that some people have a more affluent life because they're programmed to. So if you think of the line that goes between, that separates the conscious and the subconscious mind, that is what we call the analytical mind. And when you are in your childhood up until the age of 7, you don't have that analytical mind. You're like an open vessel.
Yeah, like a sponge.
Children's minds like a sponge, and everything a child is hearing and experiencing from, whether it's conversations around their parents or their teachers, and the kids know, even if they've never been told, they know what reading group they're in, if they're in the smart one or not so smart one. And then they get their report card, and their teacher and their parents start treating them according to the letter they got on the exam that they done. You're smart, you're going to be this and successful. You're not so smart, you need help and whatever. And we're basing, so we form our own self-image based on everybody else's opinions and everybody else's beliefs and how they treat us. And then once the age, roughly the age of 7 comes, the analytical mind starts forming and the subconscious mind is starting to close off. So that program's already in there. And, you know, that's how a child then starts questioning things, because they didn't have the ability to question things before. So say, for example, they heard their parents saying, "You're like me, you're never going to succeed," or "Who do you think you are?" And these limited and negative statements, they take that on as gospel. They don't have the ability to filter out what's real and not real. So they could be hearing things that are just total nonsense and they would just believe it.
And that's because the subconscious mind can only accept. Isn't that right?
Yes, the subconscious mind only accepts information.
Okay.
It doesn't have the ability to reject any information. But once the analytical mind starts closing over and starts forming, it's so sort of like a doorway. The doorway is closed, and that's how they start questioning Santa. You know, is Santa real? Because it doesn't make sense, and blah, blah,
He's
blah.
not?
No, sorry, Podrick. He's not. Oh, he is real. He is. So once that program's in there, it's in there. So we then can get into our operating system through, there's a few ways how to change a paradigm, because if you don't change your paradigm, your life is not going to change. You're just wishing and hoping it's not going to change, because like I said, it's very powerful. It's like a million times stronger, the paradigm, than your conscious thinking and your wishes. So how do we get in there? That's the question. So we get in there, there's a few ways you can get in. One is an emotional impact. And most times an emotional impact's a really negative experience. And it's like when something really tragic happens. Like I always say, get the knock on the door. You've got cancer, you're dying, you've lost your job, you've lost your home, your relationship ends. It's when some sort of tragedy strikes in your life that it alters you so much that you don't feel like yourself anymore. And that is how you can really change. But that's not the ideal way to change. So, you know, I would say to people, why wait until a tragedy strikes? Because change happens no matter what. This is the thing. People think, I don't want things to change, but that's just showing their ignorance of the law. Nothing stays the same. If that was the case, you'd still be in your mother's arms, you know. So change happens no matter what. But it is your choice whether you're going to, you know, get involved in your own personal growth. That's your choice. So the other way to get into your paradigm and to change it is through repetition. Repeat, repeat, repeat. So do you drive?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have a paradigm for driving. And of course you didn't get that before you were age of 7. You know, you didn't get that before your analytical mind closed off the subconscious. So how did you get your driving license? You learned the theory, you got the knowledge, you done the studying, and then you actually practiced. Then you got in and you practiced and you got behind the wheel. And if you think to the first time you drove, you were probably really nervous and, you know, you had to watch everything. And then now you can do it and you don't even have to think. Yeah. So you've programmed yourself to be a driver. And you can do the exact same thing to be a millionaire. You can do the exact same thing to be a loving partner or to have good self-esteem. It's the same process. Yeah. Study and, you know, study and getting the right information and then feeling the emotion and then taking the behavior. Studying and if you just keep doing that and keep doing that, you will rewrite yourself a new program. It can be whatever program you want. It's totally your choice.
I love that. I love the metaphor and the visual of driving, because once you learn it, like, you don't consciously think about it. You know, your feet are just going on the pedals, your hands are just on the gears. You're just, I mean, there's times, and people may relate to this as well, where I've been driving and somebody rings me on the phone and I answer it, not on hands-free, of course. Yes.
Road safety.
But somebody rings me and I put it through the car system, and I'm maybe like, you know, 5 minutes away from home. And the next minute I'm basically driving into my street and I'm like,
how did I get here?
How did I get here? You almost feel like you've blacked out. And it's just, it's literally like your subconscious just goes, I'll just take it from here while you just, you know, talk to that person.
Yes.
It's so insane.
It is crazy. So what happens there is the body becomes the program, right? So your paradigm is actually your body then. So the body has practiced it so many times. So the body is the animal. So when we are trying to change something, so, and again, we laugh so much when I said this in my workshop. I says, have you ever been teleported to your fridge when you says, I'm not eating the chocolate? And the next thing you're at the fridge and my friend says, I mean, there's been times I've had a Twix down my throat. So I was laughing my head off. And it's so true, because with our conscious mind, no, I don't want the Twix. I don't want to eat the chocolate. I'm going to be healthy. And your body's saying, who do you think you are? Yeah. Get out there. And then it's down the throat. So that's how the body has taken over you. And the body's now the mind. You're not even in control. Your body's in control. And this is why, again, the coaching, because it takes an awful lot of energy and attention at the start to override your body, to make your body feel like it's in this new future. So if you want more money, or if you want the love and relationship, or what the career, or start the business, it's getting the body involved in feeling it, because we know we attract whatever we're feeling, but all of your emotions from the past are trapped in your body. So we have to really get rid of those old emotions and release those emotions that are trapped in the body as trapped energy. And flood the body with all this new feelings and all these happy chemicals. And we can do that. And it doesn't cost a penny. This is the thing. It doesn't cost a penny. These things are all free. And the more we know about this, the more, we can be feeling so much better about ourselves. So, so the body is taken over. And this is where meditation comes in, okay? So Joe Dispenza's meditations are not for you to go asleep. A lot of people think meditation, you're going to be sitting like zen, and your hands like this, and you're zoned out.
No thoughts in your mind, just everything's blank.
No, these meditations are specifically for you to mentally rehearse your future self and the outcome of what it is you want. Because we know that we think in images. Everything you think of, I could say to you, think of a pink elephant. You can call that up.
I use that all of the time,
do you?
By the way. I do. I'm like, if I tell you not to think of a pink elephant, you're going to think of a pink elephant in the room.
And we are so in sync.
I use that all the time. That's amazing.
So a pink elephant. So we can think, I could say, think of a little girl sitting on her front door step with a red ball and a blue door behind her. You can think of that, because we always think in images. So when there's a part of our life that we're just not happy with no more, even be cautious and even pay attention to the image that you're conjuring up anytime you think of that, whether it is your body or it is your bank account. Think about the image that you keep calling up, because it's the image first of all, and then it's creating that feeling of, I'm skint, and and feeling lack or feeling unworthy. So that's how we truly change. And that's why meditation is so important, because these meditations are for you to mentally rehearse this image and you living in the image, because your body can't tell the difference between what's real and imaginary. So imagine you were lying down on your sofa and you're watching a scary movie and your heart starts racing, but you're not exercising. So your body is believing that you're in that movie. So that's how subjective the body is. It doesn't understand that that's not real and this is real. It doesn't know. So the more you get that picture up and be really, really crystal clear about the picture, and try then to come out of the meditation and call up the picture as many times as you can throughout your day and feel it, the quicker that's going to come to you. By law, it has to come to you. And it's exciting. It's exciting, isn't it?
It is. Absolutely. I love it, honestly, so much. Like, I don't think people understand how incredible it actually is when you start to do that type of work, and then all of a sudden you can see the results and you're like, oh my God, what the hell? Because in the past, like, I mean, I have, and you mentioned it there, like in the past, I have like took a screenshot on my phone of my bank account, maybe on the mobile app, edited it to take out the actual balance, printed it, wrote on the balance that I wanted to have in the account, stuck it on the mirror, and it was there every day, because I'm doing my hair in the mirror. Yes, believe it or not, blow dry my hair every morning in the mirror, so I'm gonna see it. But when I'm looking at that bank account balance and I'm going, that's what I have, I'm not feeling it, because I think, oh, I'm skint. So now this was past me, there I mean, not that I've done it in a wee while anyway, but I know that other people may be in a similar situation where they're trying to do these techniques,
Okay.
but they're not feeling it.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I recently finished up a 6-week program. I done that with a crowd of women. I piloted the 6-week program with a group of women, and one of them said that to me, and I love that she challenged me all the time. Every time I said something, she would say, "No, what do you mean there?" And I love that because like I said, I'm doing this years, and it's very easy for me to think people know what I'm talking about. And I love when people go, "Carrie, I need you to explain that more or go into that deeper," because I want to make sure people understand it. So she said to me, "Carrie, that's easier said than done. How can you feel abundant, but you know you're struggling with money?" And I says, "I know this is not easy. If this was easy, everyone would be doing it. You know, there isn't, it's not easy, but it's worth it." Okay, so what way... So say, for example, someone wants to have attract money into their life, but realistically, they don't have the money in the bank account. No one is saying for you to go out and get yourself in debt and get a Ferrari just so you can drive about and feel you're minted. No one's saying that. But if you understand the laws and you understand quantum physics, it means that you will understand that the very fact that you thought about the thing you want, it means by law, it exists as a possibility for you. Instantly. The minute you think of it, it means that there's a possibility that you can have that. Otherwise, you wouldn't have picked up on that connection somewhere in the ether, the universe.
And that just reminds me of Bob's famous quote of, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
And that's quantum physics. It just means that it literally can be a possibility for you. And how you bring it to you is that you just never give up on it. It's like, nursing a newborn baby. You're not going to abandon the baby. You tend to the baby and give the baby what it needs. It's also the same with your thoughts. If you think of those as little seeds, they need watered every day, and for you to love them and know that they will grow. I always say, stop looking for the carrot. The carrot will grow in its own time, and that's like your goal. But if you know that carrot is going to grow, and you also, because the universe is growing the carrot, you're not growing it. You're doing the action of watering it and planting it in the soil.
Giving it the nurturing it needs.
Yes, but the universe, so magically what it does is growing the carrot for you. And it's the same with your goal. Your goal, how you nurture your goal every day is thinking about it and feeling it, knowing it will come when the time is right. There's no time limit on this. And even though it may be difficult to feel that abundance, we have to also realize we're living in reality. So it's almost like having one foot in reality and one foot in the quantum world. We're not saying to just jump into the quantum. We're saying put one foot in each world and work with them together and say that will come. That will come whenever I'm good enough to be that person. And that's the moment it comes. The moment your abundance will come to you is when you have practiced long enough that you're good enough to receive abundance. It's like lotto winners. Most of them are skint within a year because their self-image hasn't changed. They feel some sort of, unworthiness, and then they get rid of the money.
You have all the money in the world and still don't feel good within yourself,
Exactly.
I wanted to touch upon the idea of goals as well. And a big thing that I talk to a lot of people about, and it's in the book The Power of Awareness as well by Neville Goddard, is that chapter on attention. Attitude's a big thing as well, and I think we've touched upon that anyway. But attention, is so important too, I think. And if you have a list of 10 goals and your attention is on all of those 10 goals at the one time, good luck, because you're there for a wee while. Like,
I know.
I think so anyway.
No,
Whereas if you take it step by step and go one goal at a time, and prioritize it, and focus your attention on one thing at a time, then you're more than likely going to achieve it. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, and goals and the attention to goals.
Well, I mean, rule of thumb with us in Proctor Gallagher is that you have no more than two going on, a personal one and a professional one. Because again, you need to put your attention and your energy on that goal, and the more you have going on, your energy is almost diluted down, and you just end up not really getting very much done. So what I do with people is when I'm taking them through the first module in the Thinking into Results program is hard to set your goal and hard to get clear on what it is you want, because it's in accordance with your purpose. And I get them to do a little visualization technique. And did you ever watch Home Alone 2?
Yeah.
When it goes to Duncan's toy chest?
Yeah.
So I would say we're going to Duncan's toy chest, but it's called the goal shop. You
Right.
know, imagine how magical that would be when you were a child. No, if you were a child, get in there.
Yeah.
So this is called the goal shop, and you're going in, and there's everything that you can imagine. There's, you know, your dream home, and there's holidays, and the relationship, and the money, and the health, whatever it is you want. And there's an unlimited amount of anything. So it's like supermarket sweep. You have a minute to get round and grab all the things that you want really quickly into your trolley. And then you bring your trolley up to the till, and you can only take 2 things with you. What are the 2 things you cannot leave that shop without? And this is the thing, Aaron Nightingale talks about it all the time. He talks about, success is a lot of people think success is when you reach the goal, but he's like, no, success is the fact that you're working towards it every single day.
Yeah.
It's the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, which just means you are progressing towards that every day. If you get up every day and you do something towards your goal, you're successful. You qualify for being successful. And some people it might be opening a little corner shop. Some people it might be, I want to be a teacher. We don't all have to be entrepreneurs and living on a yacht,
Yeah.
Some people might, I want to start a family, or whatever it is. It's up to you. It's whatever's in your heart that you want, but really focusing on the 2 things. But Bob would teach that there's 3 types of goals, A, B, and C. And a C type goal is what we should really go after, because the point of a goal is for you to grow and to evolve. And a C type goal is something that you've never done before, and you have no clue how you're going to get there, but you just know it sets you, oh my God, on fire. It lights your whole world up. It rocks your world, and the thought of it it has to get you out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, my C-type goal is so big, I haven't a clue how to get there, but it's bigger than me, and it's not even about me. It's a type of goal that it's for, the betterment of other people. So it's like, get over yourself, Carrie, get up and get it done.
Yeah, I think like people who maybe feel they're very grounded or like living in the real world may look at a C-type goal and think that's fantasy, that's never going to happen, because that's the way I sort of know the ABC goals is, the A is the goal that you can achieve and you will achieve it. The B is the goal that you think you can achieve and you likely can and you will. And the C-type goal is the fantasy type goal, the one that's like reaching for the stars, and everybody will be like, you're mental if you go for that.
I know.
But deep down, somehow you just know you can get there.
Look at the Wright brothers.
You don't know how, but you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
the Wright brothers were told, their father told them that they'll go to hell if they try to achieve flight. Only because of the Wright brothers we can fly all over the world. They were the first. They were bicycle mechanics, and they had this dream: we're going to achieve flight.
Yeah.
And took them, I don't know how many attempts, a lot of attempts, and they finally got a plane in the air for 14 seconds.
But that's that process of repetition. They planted the seed, they watered it, they nurtured it.
Yeah.
And they repeated and repeated and repeated. And again, they didn't make it perfect. Because even today they're still trying to, improve planes, I
know.
But they got there, They improved and improved and improved, and they're still improving today, So it just goes to show you, plant the seed, water and nurture it and let it grow,
That's it.
But you don't need to force it either,
No, so that's where the balance and the surrender comes in. So I don't even think I probably didn't finish that properly. So your intention is your goal. This is what I want. This is what I want to do with my life. And knowing what you do in your part is getting up every day, keep connecting to the goal, do your meditation and rehearse it already achieved in your mind, and then throughout your day thinking and feeling as if it's already happened, behaving like the person who's already at the goal. That's a lot of work, but that's the only part you need to play. And the other part is the surrender. So if you try to control, force or predict it happening, you've got in the way, and I really call it like you've cut the Wi-Fi signal, you've disconnected from your relationship with the divine intelligence. So you have to do that surrender bit, and that's the part I've experienced the surrender bit a few times. So that's how I know it works. And when you truly surrender, and I said this in the video recently, you can't just pretend. Okay, universe, I give up.
I'm done.
It
and the
knows.
universe is like, I know you're not
Yeah,
telling me
right.
the truth.
It knows if you're trying to trick it. So when you really surrender, it's energetically, you can just feel it and just go, I'll just hand that part over to you, and it comes very quickly. I've experienced things coming so much quicker when I consciously do the surrender bit.
Yeah, amazing. There's a bit of advice for everybody.
Yeah, that's it.
Just before we begin to round off, and before we get to the magic 3 at the end, which is the magic 3 questions, is there anything coming up for you, any future plans or any goals that you're working on personally? I always do this, tend to try and remember this anyway, personally and or professionally.
What? Every day.
Yeah.
I mean, every day I have my big C-type goal, which is to do with my work. But what we have to remember is a C-type goal, we have to give little stepping stones because it can seem really overwhelming. But we have little stepping stones that will bring us there. So it's like going up Everest, you're going to go base camp first.
Yeah.
So have little base camp goals leading to the big goal. So yes, I certainly have. I want to do more. I'm going to do some more webinars. And it really, for me, Padraig, is just getting awareness to as many people as possible to let them know, here I am, this is what I do. And if it sounds good to you, then let's have a chat. I don't like salespeople. I don't like the whole salesy technique. I just like people to know that if they have a problem and if I feel like it can help them, then we can chat. Personal goals, absolutely have personal goals. Definitely in relation to my home. My home's just not big enough for us. I need a new home. And thankfully Kieran has the exact same goal. So both of us visualize the same home, with the same amount of bedrooms and where it's going to be and, what's surrounding us. We have the exact same visualization on that, which is great. But also, yes, within me, health ways, and I'm in a new journey in relation to my behaviors around food, and I'm going to use myself as an experiment for before I do this. Thinking the results specifically for body image, I'm using myself as an experiment because I think that would be practicing what you preach. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to prove to people that this technique works. And then hopefully that'll be enough evidence for people to come on. So that's a very personal one.
Amazing. Yeah, fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing that TIR program. So the magic 3 questions, they're what I ask everybody at the end. Really great thought-provoking questions, I think. So the first question is, what is the best advice you've ever heard?
Oh, okay, I know this. When I had come back from the Joe Dispenza weekend, I was so fired up. I thought, I'm teaching everybody this. And then I was setting up WhatsApp groups. I was like, everybody needs to know this information. And my friend gave me the best advice because I don't really take much advice. I think most people don't really take advice, and I don't give advice anymore. I just give information because for years, I got advice and just never took it. I think people will do their own thing anyway. But what she says to me was, why don't you just keep it for yourself for a while? And that was the best advice. And I think what she was meaning was, in not so many words, and just trying to put it in a nice way, practice it first. Practice it before you try to teach other people. And that was the best advice because I think, your own best, proof and evidence if you do it yourself. I'm such a big believer in practicing what you preach. And I wouldn't tell somebody to do something that I don't do myself, So that was the best advice because I really did. I had to go through that whole process and that whole transformation myself. So before I could teach anyone this. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that practice. A bit like practice what you preach, before you preach it.
Yes, exactly. Before you preach.
What is the most valuable lesson you've learned in life so far?
I think that no matter what I do on the outside, it's never going to change what's going on in the inside. And it's never going to fill up the big hole that we were talking about.
Yeah.
That we're trying to close this hole up inside us with food, alcohol, drugs, attention, whatever. And no matter what I done on the outside, that never closed up. And I had to learn some really hard lessons on that. And I had to learn the same lesson over and over and over again. It kept showing up over and over again for me because I just wasn't getting it. Until after that weekend, I started activating my pineal gland. And it's just through one breath. And it's one big, long, steady breath from all of your energy centers. People call them chakras. Yeah. I would just say energy centers. And if you think of bringing the breath right up through all of your energy centers and bringing it up into the top, up into your brain. And it's not a passive breath, so it would be, involves, tightening up your 3 lower centers and milking them because we have energy trapped in there. And that's what causes, celiac disease and, all sorts of gut issues, when we have energy trapped there. So when you bring the breath up into your brain, you have spinal fluid, and the pressure of you holding your breath and pumping and squeezing those lower 3 centers, it causes your spinal fluid to go up into the back of your brain, and it rubs up against your pineal gland. Right. And there's little crystallites in your pineal gland, and the mechanical stress of the holding the breath and the pumping and the squeezing, that mechanical stress from the spinal fluid, when it's rubbing the crystals, it actually, causes a piezoelectric effect. It's the same electric that you find in electric eels, and it actually sets off an electric spark. Now, this is science. Yeah. Okay. And it releases all of these chemicals into your body, which are anti-stroke, anti-cancer, anti-neurodegenerative, anti-aging, anti-inflammatories, and that's all released into your body chemically. Yeah. Through one breath. Wow. And also it sends oxytocin to your heart, and that's oxytocin's the love chemical, and it literally makes your heart swell open. And I remember feeling that, and I was flooded with self-love. Yeah. And and people say, oh, self-love, and if it's a spa day and all that that's okay, no judgment. Yeah. For me, it's to create that feeling within myself, and it didn't come from anyone or anything outside of me. Yeah. And it's not to say I don't need anyone. I have 2 children, of course, and I have my family, and my friends, and I love them all, and of course. But this feeling of self-love came from activating my pineal gland and that oxytocin going to my heart. Yeah, amazing. So that the biggest lesson was that nothing on the outside is going to change my internal chemistry. Yeah. The internal chemistry is how the think and feeling loop creates your internal chemistry, and that just gives you the feeling of being you, who you are. And we are always trying to change that feeling with the fancy car, the big bank account, the new relationship, and none of that will ever change. Temporarily you'll get a high, like the honeymoon phase or whatever, but that goes away. You'll always go back to your baseline of your internal chemistry, and that was the biggest lesson for me, that no one and nothing will ever change it. Yeah. It has to come from within, and that's amazing. It's so easy to do. Yeah. It's so fantastic. Easy. I love that. The last question, and we've probably touched upon this anyway, but True North is all about direction towards purpose. What would you define as your purpose at this point of your life? I know what my purpose is. My purpose is to educate people on the power that lies within them. I just know that for an absolute fact. That's just what's in my heart. That is what I'm called to do. I don't think it's an accident that my background is in education. I don't think that's any sort of accident that I have that experience of education and the power of the mind. And why am I fascinated by, human potential and about the DNA and all the potential that lies within us? Why me? Why am I obsessed with that? Yeah. But I know it's because that is what I'm here to do, is to first use it on myself, educate myself, and then educate others, the people who want to know.
Yeah.
I'm not here to try to wake everyone up and, you know, bang your door down and tell you to meditate. It's for the people who are ready to do it. Yeah. That honest to God, that's definitely my purpose.
Yeah, amazing. Listen, thank you very much, Carrie, for coming on. I have absolutely loved this conversation and I was really looking forward to it. I'm so glad I had it. So thank you, honestly.
Thank you.
It's been amazing. If anybody's looking to find out more about you, the work that you do, where can they find out more about Carrie and your work?
Just the usual socials. They can get me on Instagram. They can get me on Facebook. I don't really be on Facebook too much, but I would pick up on a message if they really, you know, wanted to contact me that way. And also my website, they could get me through my website. You can book a call with me. But that's the real call to action, is book in for me for a call. Book in for a call, and we'll just have a chat and see what it is you want. And if I feel I can help you, then I'll tell you what I can offer you. But it's just a call.
Yeah, it's just a call.
Just a call.
That's amazing. I'll leave all of the links for the website and your links to Instagram and Facebook and so on down in the description of this video. And you can find all of those details down in the description wherever you're getting your podcast. But all that's left to say is thank you very much, Carrie, for coming on board.
My pleasure.
Thank
Absolute
you.
pleasure,
I really
Patrick.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a lovely rest of the week, everybody. All the best.